Why are you talking to your phone? I'm right here.
Because I'm recording you.
That's fine. You're allowed to record me.
So I'm saying this for
asking
legal
you to talk
reason.
to me.
Okay, sir, I gave you my information. Can you please go run it, please? I don't have my ID on me. I don't have no ID.
All right. Listen, when somebody's difficult like this, it makes me nervous. So I'm gonna call for backup. Ask them to come here, just in case, because you're being very uncooperative for some reason.
So you didn't want my name and my date of birth and my last name?
All right. So you gave that to me.
Yes.
But you were hesitant about it.
No, I wasn't. I told you I didn't have my ID, and I gave you my name. I spelled it out. I have it on video.
Have you ever had an ID in Massachusetts?
Everybody had an ID. I just don't have it on me.
Okay, so you had a Massachusetts ID.
Yes, I don't have my wallet.
What kind of ID? Was it a state ID?
I had an ID, like an identification ID, whatever you call that, ID.
What'd you get it for?
To have, like, you need an ID.
I'm just trying to identify what kind of ID it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, did it look like this?
Sure, it was an ID.
You don't know if it looked like this or not? It looks like a Massachusetts license. All right, what's your social security number?
It's a damn shame. All right. The guy gave his name, his date of birth, spelled his name. All right. Make sure the officer had the correct spelling. The officer still doesn't just go and run the check. Now, I want to remind you, he's on the passenger side. He's not driving the vehicle. He's a passenger in the car. And this officer needs his information. Let's put up a picture of the officer and the young man, TikTok user named Twisty. Twisty shared the interaction he had with a Massachusetts state police officer, which ended in the cop asking for a social security number. Twisty was sitting in the passenger seat of the car. He was not the driver. And Twisty did eventually provide his social security number, which is quite abnormal. So we'll give some background. In the original audio, he said, what else was I supposed to do? I didn't have my ID on me, and I wasn't trying to make stuff turn bad, so I just cooperated, right? So according to Legal Match, this is important. According to Legal Match, as a general rule, a passenger is not likely required to show identification. However, law enforcement can require a passenger to show their ID if the officer has reasonable suspicion that the individual has violated the law or was in the process of violating the law. It's not clear if Twisty is being suspected of anything in this video, right? Police officers are reportedly allowed to ask passengers for their social security numbers. They're allowed to request it and any other information that may help them better identify the individual. However, the person is not generally required to provide it, according to Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. In a separate follow-up, Twisty gave more details. So we just got out to work. We start driving, and not even 5 minutes down the street, bro, lights come on, referring to the lights of a cop car. He walks up to my boy, asks him a few questions on the driver's side. Then he makes his way over to my side and starts asking me questions. Doesn't look like he's established some kind of reasonable suspicion that a criminal act had taken place by the passenger or was in the process of taking place. Isn't it ironic that people who get into the profession of law enforcement don't actually like laws? They don't like laws. Laws, if applied equally, will land many of them in jail immediately. They don't really like laws. They don't like accountability, even though they want jobs to hold everybody else accountable. They don't want to be responsible for their actions. They don't want accountability. So they sign up to police unions that will do one thing, protect them when they should be held accountable, right? That's what they do. These same individuals, think about how depraved their minds are. These same individuals will go to a training camp, sign up to do a job that they are completely adversarial to. It would be a beautiful thing if we had law enforcement who were actually public servants, who actually engaged in transformational leadership dynamics, who cared about the common good, decency, respect, constitutional law, statutory law, who cared about how they delivered and presented to the general community and knew that they were reflections of the community at large. That would be a beautiful thing. But that's not what the industry of policing is about. Unfortunate, but 100% what it is today. All right, what is it going to take? It's going to take us continuing the fight. All right. For those on linear, thank you. For those watching me via streaming, we will continue. Adrian, what are your thoughts?
No, I think you're absolutely right. It really does, once again, it really does bolster the fact that our system is wholly broken. But the thing is this is how it was intended to operate, with law enforcement essentially being slave patrols, slave catchers, and going to this man asking for his freedom papers. It's just a form of harassment, and they know that. And also asking for a social security number. I don't care what the law is. I'm not dropping my SSN to anybody.
Right.
And it's also very unfortunate just how much we as Black people do to avoid these types of interactions, or to create situations in which we can't give the officer any justifiable reason to assume that we are involved in some kind of criminality. For example, I carry screenshots or pictures of my ID on my phone. I know my ID number by heart. And this individual was being very respectful and responsive. And for the officer to say, no, you're being uncooperative, I need to call in for backup. It's just a reminder that no matter what we do, we will be seen as a threat, and lies will be told against us to justify treating us as though we're criminals.
Right, and I think that was the most telling part of the interaction. You're making me uncomfortable. I'm getting nervous. I got to call for backup now. And then he calls for backup, sounding like he's scared. Mm-hmm. All right, he gets all the other officers worked up. They come in, adrenaline rushing. It's a Black man on the passenger seat who refuses to give me his information, which wasn't true at all. It was very simple. The man spelled his damn name for you, and you decided not to go to your car and check it out.